What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Axum TV. I hope everyone's enjoying this time as we prepare to wrap things up and head into the holiday season. I'd like to briefly touch on a subject that's kind of been on my mind ever since I saw this video recently featuring Dr. Umar Johnson. Basically, Dr. Johnson was asked his opinion on black interracial relationships and how they affect the community. Here was his response.
Let me speak to that. Okay. Right now, we have a global situation where a lot of Africans, men and women, are dating outside of their race because they believe we live in a post-racial society. Understand the four stages of white supremacy. First, white supremacy establishes itself. White supremacy then maintains itself. White supremacy then expands itself. And then white supremacy refines itself. We are in the stage of refinement. Refinement means that white supremacy has perfected the art of not looking like white supremacy. For example, you see a lot of African men marrying outside of their race all across the world, but they fail to recognize that the woman they're marrying, who's normally a white woman, belongs to the global white supremacist order. So although he's the husband and she's the wife, she still has the power. At any point in that relationship, she could pick up a telephone, accuse him of a particular crime, and regardless of whether he committed or not, his whole life would be changed. Furthermore, we have to recognize that women live longer than men. So if I, as an African man, marry a European woman or a Chinese woman or an East Indian woman or an Arab woman, whatever wealth I accumulated in my life, when I die, my wealth goes over to the woman of that race. We need that money to build the institutions and industries. So how does a black man with full consciousness who claims to be loyal to his mother and loyal to his people marry a woman who is not in the image of his mother, whom he knows after he dies is going to take his resources and give them to her race, not his? Marrying outside of your race for an African man anywhere on earth is one of the greatest acts of racial betrayal, treason, and treachery. It is absolutely intolerable and disrespectful to black women. With so few black women finding husbands, how do you find it within your soul to marry somebody else's daughter who you know is only eloping with you because you have education, income, economics, privilege, position, or property? These women are not marrying poor black men. They're marrying well-educated black men on purpose. It has nothing to do with love. If it was about love, why can't we find rich East Indian women, rich Chinese women, rich white women marrying poor black men? Why is it always well-educated and stable black men marrying poor white women, Chinese women, or East Indian women? In Africa right now, we have a situation in Nigeria where African women are marrying Chinese men. Chinese men are exploiting these women's desire to marry outside of their race and hopefully improve their economic stability. So sisters are reaching out for the Chinese men because they're poor. And when they see the Chinese face, they assume that all of them are wealthy, which is not true. In fact, most of the Chinese coming into Africa are coming there poor, but they become rich off of us. And so what's going to happen is history is going to repeat itself. These Chinese men are going to have babies with our African sisters, and those babies will be 100% citizens of the nation of Nigeria and other nations where this is taking place, because Nigeria is not the only one. So the children, the biracial Chinese African children, will be 100% citizens of Nigeria, but they will be raised by their Chinese fathers to be loyal to the mother country of China. So these African Chinese will be African in body, but Chinese in mind. And they're going to use the next generation of African Chinese interracial babies to reconquer the entire West Africa because of our hatred for ourselves. This has happened before. The East Indians did it in South Africa. The Arabs did it in East Africa. This has happened before. The white man did it all throughout Africa. Mixing with our children and using the babies, the biracial offspring, the psychologically confused offspring to work in the interest of the country that rules. And so they're going to use those children to serve China, serve India, serve Europe. They look black, but their minds will be psychologically engineered by that other non-African parent to work against the best interests of our mother country. I am totally 100%. As the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey said, we are against interracial dating. The only marriage I respect is a black man with a black woman. I do not respect a black man with a white woman, a black woman with a white man, or any other race, including a black woman with a black woman or a black man with a black man. I don't do that nonsense either. The only African marriage is the traditional African marriage, and that's a black man with an African woman.
So that was his response. The video where I initially saw this was posted back in April of this year, so I'll definitely put the link to that video in the description box. As far as my opinion on this, first want to say Dr. Umar Johnson is certainly entitled to his own opinion. I greatly respect the work he's doing, trying to build a school, giving speeches across the world, and organizing the Black Parent Association. He is definitely a man who believes in going out there and doing for his community. However, on this issue, I had many disagreements, many of which you saw posted throughout the video. One of his biggest points he was making was that when black men in particular marry interracially, the money that they made leaves the community. My biggest problem with that statement is that it insinuates that marrying non-interracially keeps your money in the community. And for the vast majority of homogenous black couples, this just isn't the case. Pretty much every African-American couple that I've ever encountered, be it family, close friends, and friends, the majority of the money that they were making was going to corporations not owned by African-Americans. Whether it be the clothes they bought, the restaurants they patronized, the grocery stores they went to, the shoe stores they went to, the companies they made contracts with, either to build or sell them houses, or build and sell them houses. The car companies that they went to buy cars. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, the people who are operating and controlling all these companies are not people who look like us. So 9 times out of 10, even if you as a black person marry another black person, your wealth is leaving the community. So if you think the way to keep more money in the community is to cut off interracial relationships, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. The next argument about a man's money leaving the community when he dies because women live longer than men. Well, by that logic, the black woman who marries a white man would be bringing more money into the community because in that case, she would live longer than a man. But let's even go back over to the black man, white woman scenario. Women do live longer than men, but not much longer on average. And when they're both dead, usually the money goes to the children. And these children, I'm assuming, would be biracial. And according to Umar Johnson, biracial children are 100% black. So even in that scenario, the money would be passing back into the hands of black people, by his logic. And if you want to turn around and argue, well, they may see themselves as half white and spend most of their money with white people. Like I stated earlier, that's what we're doing as well as fully black people. So I think the problem still extends beyond the union of black people and non-black people in marriages. And lastly, to address the point about being loyal to one's people and loyal to one's mother, again, Dr. Umar Johnson says that in his book, a mixed person is 100% black. So if we're going to use that logic, no matter who a black man or black woman chooses to marry and have children with, they will produce black children and therefore continue the black race. And the notion that a black man who goes out and dates and marries a woman of another race somehow hates his mother really has always been a weird idea to me. I'm pretty sure in most cases, if a man hates his mother, it's probably for much more than just her skin complexion. And for men and women who like to say, you should date me because your mother's black too, or you should date me because your father's black too, you haven't done the things that that person's mother has done for them or their father has done for them. So again, that really isn't a comparison that you should be making. I think the biggest thing is for us to get together and start building businesses and building companies and building institutions so that people, no matter who they're married to, can invest into these assets and we can have collective wealth no matter what. That's how the white corporations do it. That's how the Asian corporations do it. They have a built infrastructure so that no matter who takes on whatever kind of partner, the money that they're spending in their daily lives is benefiting that community. So I think this starts with us as black people, wherever we are or whomever we're with, coming together with other black people and partnering to build these corporations, institutions, whatever we need to maintain and control our collective wealth and use it as an asset. So as you may have guessed, I have absolutely no issue with black interracial dating or relationships. I don't think it helps or hurts the community. But then again, like I said, Dr. Umar Johnson is totally entitled to his own opinion, and I would like to personally thank him for the time and effort he spends on a daily basis trying to improve things in our community. This is just one area where I happen to disagree with him. If you haven't already, I encourage you to look Dr. Umar Johnson up for yourself and form your own opinions based on what you see. Thanks for tuning in to Axon TV and have a blessed week.